What's up, everyone? I'm Rick Knight. Welcome back to another video here at The Bad Philosopher. Okay, so an article that I just read from NBC about the Trump administration. He has a U.S. ambassador to Germany, Richard Garnell, I believe his name is, who is an openly gay. I think he's like the first openly gay or the highest profile openly gay person in the Trump administration. He is campaigning now to decriminalize the LGBT community in other countries. It's roughly like 70 different countries in the world that have very harsh treatment towards homosexuals and lesbians and LGBT and all that stuff. It is criminalized in a lot of places. Iran is one of the worst places for that. They're known for arresting gay people, gay men, with trumped up charges, accusing them of all kinds of hideous crimes, and then executing them oftentimes by hanging them in public or giving them lengthy prison sentences with a very labor intense. In the article, it cited that it was the three main places, the three main regions was one was the continent of Africa, two was the Middle East, three was in the Caribbean. These are the three worst locations, the most concentrated places of anti-LGBT with some of the harshest penalties and some of the harshest treatment of gay individuals or LGBT individuals. And the Trump administration would like to step in there and I guess try to convince the UN and the human rights organizations and stuff to do something about this, to convince these nations that they can no longer commit these horrible acts. Now, I think this is a good idea for two reasons. This is a good idea, a good move on Trump. Number one is, despite our political differences, despite our philosophical differences, despite everything, I think one thing we can agree on, and it should be bipartisan, and we all should get together, and we should basically just agree, is that no individual should be the victim of unnecessary violence. They shouldn't be falsely arrested and put into prison and given capital punishment, and they shouldn't be attacked physically or any other way just for being gay or being, lesbian or being part of the LGBT. As much as I disagree with them, as much as I like making fun of them, that's only because I don't agree with them politically. I don't agree with them philosophically, and I think that they're very silly and they do silly things and look silly and act silly. But I don't want to see them victimized. I don't want to see them a victim of violence. I don't want to see them killed just for being who they are. I don't want, I rather just make fun of them. I rather just, beat them in debate. I rather win the war of words against them, the war of ideas against them, opposed to physically winning a war against them, right? Like, there's no need to commit violent acts. They should be treated the exact same way they treat other people. If everyone lived by that, I mean, I know it's a pipe dream, but if everyone lived by that, it'll be a better world. If we all just treat each other, I'll treat you the way you treat me, and that's it. We'll keep it simple. If we don't agree on something, that's fine. We cannot agree. We can argue until we're blue in the face. We can laugh at each other, point fingers at each other. We can, we can talk shit about each other. We can do all that. That's all fine and dandy, but pretty much, the violence is towards each other is just not it shouldn't be tolerated. So most of these countries, it is a death sentence to be gay, and I definitely will stand on the side of gay people in that situation, say that murdering them or imprisoning them just for being gay or being a member of the LGBT is immoral, and they deserve the same human rights that everyone else deserves. So that's one reason that I think it's a good move on Trump. The second reason is because now it forces the members of the LGBT community and members of the left to see that the areas that we have all of the tolerance and acceptance for LGBT happens to be America, Israel, Canada, Australia, and the Europe, the European Union, and most of the European countries that do accept this. It is the African nations, the Middle East, which is Islamic nations, and the Caribbean islands that are anti-gay for the most part. And here's the thing: it kind of forces the left to say, hey, most of the world that doesn't accept us are not the evil, cisgender, straight, white male patriarch that we've been railing against, because it seems like the evil cisgender straight white male patriarchs, are the ones accepting us and giving us freedom in their country. It's just the fact that they have human rights here in the U.S. There's human rights in Canada and Australia and Europe and in Israel. In fact, in Israel, if you're transgender, you have to go to the military upon graduating high school. You don't get to get off and not go to the military because you're transgender. I believe most of the European Union, or at least the countries in the European Union, allow transgendered into the military. Same thing with Canada and I believe Australia as well, and America. It's a little issue going on right now, whether we're gonna stop letting them in or not. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's gonna pass and they'll be still in the military and able to join the military. So I think this was a very good reason, right? One, it helps to encourage other nations to provide the same level of safety and dignity to LGBT individuals in the country as they do with everyone else. So that's always a good thing. And the second reason is because it forces the left to, hopefully take the blinders off and realize that white countries and Israel, which is not exactly a white country, accept LGBT, and it is the non-white countries, the virtuous, the countries that are seen as the most virtuous, as we're seen as the evil, they're the ones that not only don't accept you, but they will bring violence upon you. They will lock you up forever and throw away the key. They might lock you up for a long period of time with a harsh punishment or sentence against you just for being gay. They might even just lie and say that you did something you didn't do just to give you more jail time. So, I think this was a good move on Trump's part. I think it forces people to look at him. This is a policy that if he's smart, if the Republicans are smart, they would throw this in people's faces and they would use this as a talking point, and they'll keep repeating this and they'll try to make it as big as they possibly can. Try to get it out there in the open field. Make sure that this is a topic of discussion, because it'll be very, very, very hard for someone to shoot this idea down against him, right? And members of the left wouldn't be able to say that this is a bad idea. They would have to say it's a good idea. Of course, they will follow that up like, yeah, it's a good idea, but he's only doing it because of this or because of that. And it's like, well, you know what? Obama didn't do it at all, period. And no one else is doing it. No other country so far is doing it, period. So for him to allow his administration to get behind a campaign to end, to decriminalize being a member of the LGBT community in some of the worst countries in the world, I think it's all positive. It's good. I think it was a good move on Trump. It was a good move on his administration, and I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people to admit that. And I think we should try to force them to get them, to admit that at least that idea is good. And listen, the 2020 election is, it's gonna kick off in the next couple months, right? The left is gonna have to do some serious scrambling now. They're gonna have to really figure shit out, because, this is just another reason to say, look, this man in office is not that bad. He is not that bad of a president. The economy is doing great, and now he is coming up with policies to pretty much to help keep people safe. I mean, he wants the border wall to keep people out that shouldn't be in here, but the left doesn't see it that way. That's probably because they want those votes from the people, the illegal aliens crossing the border. Even though people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who say it's immoral to have a wall, and what, last year, about a year and a half ago, they voted to help fund the wall for Jordan to keep ISIS from Syria out of entering Jordan. And it's like, this is just insane that you would fund a wall being built in another country, but you won't fund a wall in this country. And that's because, we all know why. It's because people from Jordan cannot vote in an American election. So it's pretty simple. I mean, we know what it's all about. But all of this is all stuff that needs to be brought out. I mean, the Republicans need to bring this out into the open. It needs to become a talking point, because once it forces people to pay attention. It forces people to talk about this. It forces people to make a statement, and that statement could end up working against them. It's you know, even though they will have their excuses and they will say, well, he's only doing it for this or for that, the easy rebuttal for that is, well, don't all politicians only do this and do that because of. So I think it's all good. Good move on Trump, especially with the 2020 election getting ready to kickstart right around the corner. I think it was an excellent idea, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.